What up and welcome to Rama Screen YouTube channel, and here's my review of Peacock's new docu-series, Girls Gone Wild, The Untold Story. Let's rock this. Whoa, blast from the past. Who among us still remember those late night TV ads of Girls Gone Wild with their Caribbean style music? Gen Zs do not know what they're missing. And in the early 2000s, I was entering my freshman year in college. I loved watching those super late night shows like Jay Leno. And bam, those commercials would come on in between segments showing girls flashing their boobs with the word censored across them. It was hilarious. It cracked me up. Now, have I ever bought any of those Girls Gone Wild tapes? Nope. God is my witness, I never once bought any of those tapes. And I love hot women just as much as the next guy. But I wasn't gonna waste the little money I had on such nonsense. But many people did. Remember, this was back when porn was hard to come by. You had to either buy the magazines or go to the video stores behind the room with the beads, and you had to lower your heads with the baseball cap on so as to avoid the shame that comes from people noticing you. This was before internet was high speed, before social media, before Netflix mails you DVDs. So the accessibility of Girls Gone Wild, where you pay money via phone and then the VHS tapes would arrive at your mailbox a couple of days soon after, was enticing to a lot of horny guys who at the time were not able to just freely watch porn on their smartphones because that was not a thing. Turns out Girls Gone Wild is or was a horrible company, and that its owner, Joe Francis, is a total douchebag. And so all of that true crime drama is exceptionally covered in details in this new docu-series that's partly nostalgic and mostly shocking, especially to younger viewers who'd be like, holy smokes, you millennials were crazy. Directed by Peabody and Emmy Award-winning filmmaker Jamila Wignode, this docu offers an astonishing investigative look into the life and career of Joe Francis, including his first in-depth in-person interview with a journalist in almost a decade, drawn from Skashi Cole's on-the-record conversation at his Mexican compound, which spanned nearly 9 hours, powerful personal accounts from 11 former employees and survivors, and never-before-broadcast video and audio recordings. This docu, in and of itself, the format and the quality overall are excellent and solid. There are 3 episodes, and each one is very well researched and very extensive. And what impresses me the most is that at every single episode break, it always leaves you with some unbelievable cliffhanger, so much so that you just gotta stick around to find out if what you just heard really happened, which is a clever strategy on the filmmaker's part to retain your attention and keep luring you back in. The fact that they actually tracked down some of those girls who were featured on Girls Gone Wild videos to be a part of the talking heads on this docu is also mind-blowing. Granted, some of them did sue Joe Francis, so there is a sort of a public record on them. But credit to them as well for willing to speak out in front of the camera about a topic that I'm sure they still find difficulties discussing 20 plus years after it happened to them. Now, because we're dealing with a videotape company, there's no shortage of archival footage. This docu is just swimming in endless footage. And what's even cooler is that anytime the talking heads would bring up something spicy or reveal something juicy, the docu immediately transitions to the interview at Joe Francis's compound, where he gets asked that very same question. And so we, the audiences, never feel like we're left hanging. Ooh, is it true what they just said? Well, let's go to Joe himself for his reactions. And so the real MVP hero here is the journalist Skachi Cole. Her line of questioning, her analysis, and her way of dissecting the cases are the beating heart and soul of this documentary. Now, if you ask me what do I personally think of Joe Francis after having watched this entire docu, I think that Joe is so similar to Donald Trump in terms of getting away with crimes. You've heard Teflon Don, right? Well, this is Teflon Joe. Nothing ever sticks, and everything just seems to slide off him. Every indictment, every accusation, every lawsuit. And Joe always plays the victim card, just like Donald Trump does all the time. Joe compares himself to Jesus being persecuted, and if you recall, Trump also did do the same. So Joe is basically Trump minus the suit and tie. Their egoistic, narcissistic attitude is almost carbon copy of each other. It's not a compliment, it's not a criticism, but it's a spot on, undeniable observation, if I may say so. Which leads us to the biggest conversation of them all. Are the girls to blame? And I'm sure there's a lot of people who think that these girls were asking for it when they said yes to being invited to the bus. But that's exactly the kind of fucked up mentality that this docu exposes. And it's an indictment of the frat boy type of thinking that was unfortunately prevalent 20 plus years ago. Keep in mind that alcohol intoxication also factors in. And don't forget that Joe pressures his workers to then pressure these girls into saying yes, while again under the influence of alcohol. And with regards to the all-female jury that basically acquitted Joe, here's what I say about that. Never ever underestimate a woman's ability to scorn other women. I mean, just because they're women, you think they're just going to automatically help each other? Then you do not understand how vindictive and judgy some women could be. So yeah, overall I give Girls Gone Wild, The Untold Story, the rating of 4.5 out of 5. The only regret is that Peacock is not available globally. It's mostly just here in America. So hopefully, eventually, other streaming service platforms would pick it up so that other viewers can also watch this riveting docu and do some examining of their own.